Shalom, everyone. The Gemara in Nazir, page 59, is in regards to the Nazir cutting off his hair, starts to discuss the question of what can men do or do not do, because it's as is doing things that belong only to women, whether a piece of clothing or cosmetics, etc. And amongst the discussion, we find a saying by Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, which is a very famous quote. And let me share the sources. And Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov is saying, from where is it derived that a woman may not go out with weapons to war? Now, let me just stop here. It sounds like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov is saying that women can go to war, but they shouldn't go out to war with weapons. Now, this touches a huge topic that I think today more than ever in the history of the people of Israel is that relevant, because the question of women carrying weapon is part of a bigger Sugya, bigger discussion in terms of women joining the army or joining to fight in the army. And part of the discussion is about carrying weapon. Now, the carrying weapon today is also relevant because it's not only when you're in the army, but also for self-defense can women carry weapon. And as we know, there are two opinions. The one opinion that say women shouldn't go to the army, not because it's asur halachically, it's forbidden halachically for a woman to join the army, but because joining the army for a woman can cause her damage. It'll be harder to keep her modesty, etc. And the other people say because halachically it's allowed, therefore she can also carry a weapon. And they only discuss that there's some jobs and positions in the army that women should obtain from. But today, through our page in Nazir 59, I want to touch the little, through a very small window in this big discussion today in terms of can a woman carry weapons? And as we saw, the quote of Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov sounds like he's saying, woman can carry a weapon. It's just a question whether she can. Woman can go to war. It's just a question whether she can go out to war with weapons. And he's quoting the pasuk in Sefer Devarim because the verse states, "A woman shall not wear that which pertains to a man, and a man shall not put on women's garment." Which indicates that a man may not adorn himself with the cosmetics and ornaments of a woman. And similarly, a woman may not go out with weapons to war, as those are the use of male. And Rabbi Yochanan ruling follows this opinion. Now, the famous pasuk in Sefer Devarim, Lo yechli gever al isha velo yilbash gever simlat isha, is talking about clothes. A woman must not put on men's apparel, nor shall a man wear women's clothing. And indeed, when we have a quote in the name of the same Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, who was, by the way, a Tana during the time at the end of the Second Temple, and a little bit after the destruction of the Second Temple, we know Rabbi Eliezer. The Gemara says that he's the one who is telling us Masechet Midot. And Rabbi Eliezer, we have a quote in a Midrash Halacha that is telling us similar things, but with one difference that makes a big difference. It says in the Midrash, in the Sifrei of Dvarim, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Omer, minayin shelo tilbash isha klei zayin. It's where is it derived that a woman may not go out with armor at a war, things that she puts on as clothing, as opposed to what he told us in the Gemara, shelo tetzeh, and that a woman may not go out with weapons to war. And from his words here, most of the Rishonim understand that it's only a matter of wearing things that belong to men when they go out to war, and not the weapon itself. In other words, woman, when she goes out to war, she may carry a sword or a knife, or today a gun, or a pistol. And it's important to know that the division between the Chachamim, that the Rishonim who says yes, she can carry weapon, and the Chachamim who say no, she cannot carry weapon, starts with Rashi and the Rambam, and many others. But we know just in the short time we have, I'm just going to mention mostly them. And Rashi on our Gemara is already tell us, Talmud lomar le lo yeh kli gever al isha, and מצינו ביעל אשת חבר הקני שלא הרגתו לסיסרא בכלי זין, אלא שנאמר ידע ליתד תשלחנה. In other words, Rashi is saying, yes, when the Gemara tells me a man's ornament or a man's vestment should not be upon a woman, that includes the weapon, because men goes out to war not only with their armor but also with their weapons. And therefore Rashi is telling us, and I know that, but listen, because listen to what the Navi in Judges tell us about Yael. Yael kills Sisra not with a knife, not with a sword, but with a piece of stick. And that is, and I learned from that, says Rashi, that the woman cannot carry weapon. As opposed to Rashi, the Rambam, and it's important to know that Shulchan Aruch, Rabbi Yosef Karo follows the words of the Rambam, and also the Ramah follows the understanding of the Rambam. And the Rambam is saying we are talking only about clothes, and that's why and we remember the Midrash Halacha in the Sifrei that Rabbi Eliezer is saying shelo tilbash, you shouldn't wear, and it's not only just to carry clothes that belongs to men, and then the Rambam is saying a woman should not adorn herself as a man does. It's the putting on the certain clothes and armors that men used to go to war with, that indicates their status and their bravery, and it's only men are using it. And the Rambam is saying she may not place a turban or a hat on her head or wear armor or the like, and she may not cut her hair and head as a man do, and a man should not adorn himself as a woman, etc. And the Rambam ends with a very important line saying everything follows local custom. In other words, if there is a place where both men and women are wearing a certain hat, women can wear that hat. And if there's an army where women join and they also use a certain kind of a helmet, they can wear that, and that the following the local custom is a key understanding that also helps today's Chachamim, today Poskei Halacha, that say that halachically it's okay for a woman to carry weapon because it's not a piece of clothing, it's just something she uses to protect herself, definitely when she goes to war. I do wanted to add the opposition and what they lie on. And the opposition that say that women shouldn't go to war, period, derive it from the understanding in the Gemara and in other places. When the Gemara and Kiddushin are telling us I'll just read the bottom line. It's about the pasuk Torat Hashem Temimah in the feminine, and the Gemara says, as it is the way of men to wage war, and it is not the way of a woman to wage war. And that is, and the Achronim, the latest halachic figures are opening it and saying, women bringing life, they shouldn't take part in taking life in wars and in army, and they should focus in life and they're not used to wage war. And from there, the more and more derive the psak halacha, the bottom line, that they're saying women not only cannot carry weapon, but definitely cannot join the army. Some say that women can carry weapon to defend themselves in a civil life, but not go to the army. I wanted to show you the words of Rav Herzog. And Rav Yitzchak Herzog, the grandfather of the president of the state of Israel, who was a chief rabbi in the first in the early days of the people of Israel returning to the land. He's very famous for many things, but also he's the Rav who goes to Europe and walk amongst monasteries and churches to find the Jewish children that were hid in those places. And Rav Herzog, from a very, very Zionistic position, but also from a very halachic position, is saying, of course, a woman, she can't carry weapon as just to show off. She can't carry a weapon as she's putting on her makeup, on her cosmetics, or a necklace. That it's beautiful to see her walk around with a sword. But if she needs the weapon to protect herself, whether from the sun or from coldness or from war, of course, to protect herself, of course she can carry a weapon. And he understand that we are talking about women in war, not in just a regular war, but it's a war that is a survival war. And he says, ומכל שכן לצורך מלחמה לעזרת ישראל מיד צר. Of course, women should join the war against the enemies that are wishing to destroy us. And if she's joining the army and she's joining the fighting in order to protect the people of Israel, of course she can carry weapon. And the idea that this whole discussion, and that's also definitely in the Rambam, and definitely in the words of Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, the only time where we allow women to join the army, to join war, is when we're talking about milchemet mitzvah, when it's a must war. It's a war that life and death are relying on it, and it's coming from the Mishnah in Masechet Sotah, the next big Masechet we're going to learn after we finish Nazir, Bezrat, and please God. And there the Mishnah is saying, in what case are all these statements with regard to the various exemption from war says? Okay, and the Mishnah starts with list of people that don't have to go to war. But that also, they are said with regard to elective wars. It's just wars that that the king or the judges decide to go to war to gain something, but not as a survival, not to protect ourselves from an enemy who wants to destroy us. But in wars whose mandate is a mitzvah, everyone goes. Everyone goes for the Mishnah, to be radical in terms of what do you mean when we say everyone? It includes a groom from his room and a bride from her wedding canopy. And that's what we mean, like everyone, and also, as we see here, of course, including the kala, including women, and that is the ones the halachic statement that women can carry weapon in a war is more when we're looking at milchemet mitzvah. And I go back a little bit to Rav Herzog, and Rav Herzog is definitely saying, and that is what today the Rabbanim who give the halachic psak, and also, by the way, this is the psak of Beit Hillel organization, the Rabbanim and the Rabbaniot of Beit Hillel, that today we are still dealing with milchemet mitzvah. We are still fighting to protect ourselves. And that's why women can go to the army, and for some people they must go to the army and definitely use weapon if that is their position in the army. But again, to be fair, I wanted to tell you also about the other opinion, and the opinion of the great Rav Eliezer Melamed in Pninei Halacha. And there he says, of course, women should protect people, and they are also obligated to saving the people of Israel and to settle in the land, but not to go to the army, because it's not the way of a woman to be at war, to be at the army. And he's not saying it's forbidden for women to go to the army, but he is saying it's not modest for a woman to be in the army, and it can open problems for women and for others who serves with her. And it's better for women when it's a time of war, of a survival war. It's better that women will do not the things in the front, but at the back of the war, with water, with medicine, etc. But also Rav Melamed being very honest, saying, and that he knows that his great Rav, Rav Tzvi Yuda Kohen, disagreed to say that it's forbidden for women to go to the army. In other words, Rav Tzvi Yuda is saying it's not forbidden for a woman to go to the army because we are still in a war today. And if it's a specific private heter allowing a certain woman who can go to the army and nothing will happen to her spiritually, religiously, modestly, then it's okay to tell her that she can go because it's not forbidden to go to the army. It's only dangerous spiritually, let's say, to the woman. And today we have both opinions. And today, as we see in the reality, there are many religious girls who join the army and do fantastic and very important jobs in the army. And some chachamim are saying it's not allowed to be, but they definitely should do national service to help as much as they can. And all of that is coming from the comment of Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, who is telling us about a woman that shouldn't go to war with clothes of war or clothes or weapons. And we'll stop here. And please God, God will bestow us with peace, and we won't have to deal anymore with wars.